Welcome to the Dummy Plug Podcast.
Welcome everyone to the Revolution of Evangelion panel. My name is Gaynor79. Joining me today is my partner, General Iowa. And Iowa has not slept in about
What's sleep?
Podcast, man. Be professional.
We're professional on the other two? Really? Really?
Hey, we almost had Greg Ayers to this thing, so calm down.
He's still asleep. I don't blame the poor man.
It's Gendo!
Gendo! There you are. Well, there goes all that professionalism we were just talking about, doesn't it? Isn't it?
All right. This is awesome.
I was wondering when you were going to get here. Oh, good.
So, yes. So, for those who are now coming in, yes, once again, welcome to Revolution of Evangelion. And also,
we're recording this!
We are recording this live for our podcast, The Dummy Plug Podcast, now available on iTunes and on our site at rebuildofevangelion.org. So I hope you guys will all go and download this and share it with your friends and, make us popular enough to get on TV or something. So really quick, let's just get this out of the way. This is a little bit about what we're about. Thank God that's showing up. A little bit about the website because, we're a forum. We're dedicated to Ava and all the universes, the anime, the movies, the manga, everything. Merch. God, the merch. Hey, Shinji, your merch. Hold it up and proud. Merch. Thank you.
This merch, which you
Rob's
can't find anywhere
Iowa's
in
flag.
The world.
We do this because we want to interact with people like you guys and talk about this whole wonderful series that we do.
We love you all.
So, and of course, yes, the Dummy Plug Podcast
with custom logos.
Yes, thank you to Gairon, our staff. Artist, I guess we can call him now.
Yeah, pretty much staff artist.
He's on DeviantArt. Follow him. He's wonderful. He does the Bleach Happy to Serve You webcomic. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, it is hysterical. All props to him and Hardcore Hunter, who are one of my other podcasters. So, what are we going? Oh yeah. So because we're recording this for the Dummy Plug Podcast, we are just going to hold questions till our Q&A session at the end, so just kind of hang tight, guys. So let's get right into it. We're going to be talking today about Shinji. You're happy. So we're talking about the evolution of Shinji and how he's really progressed from the original series. I'm not going to read all that stuff just because I'm lazy.
Read at your leisure if you can read it.
Yeah. So we're just going to kind of discuss Shinji's evolution as a character, as a person, how he's different from Rebuild, how he's different from his original series counterpart, and where he might end up at, by the end of this whole nonsense, So, Iowa, did you want to maybe start us off here?
Yeah, I know where he's going to end up, in the robot. Secondly, for the longest time, I was not the biggest fan of Shinji as a character. And, there's a reason why it's hard to be a fan of Shinji as a character at times, because he doesn't really give you a lot to be a fan of. But with Rebuild and how Anno has gotten into a much better place with his life and a much happier place, how he's not only written Shinji differently in some ways, it's also fair to say that it's time for people to honestly just go back and re-examine Shinji as a character, because we all yell at him for running away and having his anxiety and his, depression and all these different kinds of, problems. But when you were 14 and you had problems, you probably didn't react to some of them very well. We're asking this kid to get in a giant robot, fight things he's never heard of, deal with people he has no idea who they are, and he's still being neglected by his own father, even though they're within close proximity of each other. Shinji probably handles this as well as a 14-year-old is going to handle it. So honestly, I feel like it's time to stop the Shinji hate.
All right. Well, to be fair, Shinji, as a character is fairly unlikable, and that's always been one of the arguments against Evangelion as a whole. But yeah, I can understand the whole thing about Shinji being a pain in the ass and being just somebody who's, unlikable. But yeah, you're in a strenuous, extraordinary situation, but at some point you do have to just nut up and kind of, just...
He's 14 years old. I would not expect a 14-year-old to be able to do the thing. Shinji does all sorts of things I would never expect a 14-year-old to do in the course of a lifetime, okay? Like, honestly, he handles things better than, honestly, I've given him credit for as a character. And this is going off of, Anno as a depressed, person stage, not Anno as a happy person stage. So, like I said, it's just, I think it's time to stop the whole, Shinji is an unlikable character, and just, we can't keep comparing Shinji to all these other, teenage heroes in anime that just, no comparing him to what's-his-face from Gurren Lagann. That's
Simone.
Yeah. You know what? Ever since Simone came along, I think that hasn't helped that hasn't helped the issue.
Well, and also, comparing to other characters in his age group probably isn't fair. But then again, Shinji isn't, a superhero. He is tried to be portrayed as an average child in an extraordinary situation. But at some point, the average person kind of needs to get their crap together and really, do what they got to do.
Shinji's not the average person is the problem.
But see, that's the thing now. Between the original series and Rebuild, Shinji in the original series was very whiny, very angsty. Nobody really likes him, and he never nuts up. Rebuild is a little different. He does kind of, sort of start to progress, and he starts to become more likable, but it's just a problem of he, never really fully realizes what he needs to be doing until, it's too late.
Well, he never has proper guidance.
This is true.
I mean, Gendo over there doesn't care half the time. The first thing he says to us is, "I have a use for you. Get in the robot."
This is true. Well, and then, granted, now he's also thrust into another weird situation with Misato, with Asuka, with Rei, which, that's a little bit different. You're not usually expecting something like that at that age, but, the reasons for that aside are whatever they are. So, So the question now I have to ask you, Iowa dude, is which incarnation of Shinji do you prefer? Original series, Rebuild, one from one of the alternate universe manga, one from the Sadamoto manga.
We can't do Rebuild. We don't have the full picture. Is the biggest problem because we don't have 4. And until we get 4, and until we see what happens in 4, I have to put an NA for Shinji with Rebuild. Honestly, if I'm going to pick my favorite, it's probably going to be the manga.
Sadamoto manga?
Yeah, Sadamoto. Oh, yeah,
okay.
Easily.
I guess the Shinji I like the Rebuild Shinji in terms of original continuity. But as for, in the alternate universe manga, I like the Shinji Ikari Raising Project Shinji because I think that's a little bit more believable and understandable. The Angelic Day Shinji is actually really well done and has the proper character progression. And actually, because of that, we actually do see an adult Shinji. And I won't spoil the Angelic Days if nobody's read it, but please go read it because it's very good and it provides some very interesting insight to the series and what could have been had certain characters been developed differently. I won't speak of Campus Apocalypse or
Campus Apocalypse is banned from it's just banned. Okay, sorry guys.
Yeah, to anybody who's never read it, just don't read that. Don't read Detective Diary.
You know what the problem is? That Detective Diaries is probably going to get good now that we've all abandoned it. That's the
problem. Now that we've just demolished it and put it in the ground, it's probably going to just be like
probably go read.
It'll be like a Pulitzer Prize winner or anything.
Well, that was fast.
Yeah, move on. More time for Q&A.
Okay.
All right. So this is a weird little theory we've been discussing over a couple of drinks.
This is what happens when you have little sleep and you're sitting in a hotel room at a convention on a Thursday night.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you try to make notes. I know this is like the most disjointed looking thing, and I'm sorry for my podcasters who will never see this thing. Maybe I'll post a picture.
One of these days, I'm gonna get lucky, and I'm gonna get a whiteboard at an anime convention, because the day I get that, I'm going to go absolutely detailed on this entire theory. Trust me.
So the theory we're discussing here is the split timeline theory, which basically explains how certain aspects of alternate universe, how Rebuild, how End of Eva all ties in to the original series timeline. Now, me and Iowa have had a little bit different theory on how everything happens. I'll explain mine first, and I'll let him go. My theory is that everything exists on one timeline, and it exists on the original series timeline and branches off from there at different points in that original timeline. All of them being after the Second Impact. Rebuild happens after Second Impact, goes off its own little thing, and then has, it's a Third Impact, but everything takes a different, path and progresses a little differently than the original series. Then we have the Sadamoto manga, which is pretty much original series, right through Third Impact. I haven't read it myself, so you'd have to. Is there anything that's grossly different from Sadamoto's manga to original series?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's different. That's why I don't necessarily agree with how you put the Sadamoto manga into this, because there's a lot of differences in terms of events and how things happen, like major differences.
Well, they're just better explained, right?
No, go read the manga, and you're going to find out very quickly how wrong you are on that one, dude.
All right. Oh, well, Sadamoto manga aside, the one that really kind of stood out to me as being a little, its own timeline here is Death and Rebirth and End of Evangelion, which on my timeline I actually have them split between. I had to have that branch splitting off between episode 24 and episode 25. So happening after episode 24 is when Death and Rebirth would start, and then End of Eva happens, Third Impact happens, and everything happens, as the course of End of Eva happens. Then there's the other weird one, or the other two weird ones, and those are actually the alternate universe mangas, Angelic Days, and the Shinji Ikari Raising Project. And the thing with Angelic Days is because it retells the story in a certain way. It's just basically at the beginning of the branch, it splits. Shinji Ikari Raising Project, though, is a little bit different because it's actually canon to original series to a certain point. It's in sometime between episode 25 and episode 26. It's actually briefly glimpsed at, and they took this idea of a slice of life where Evangelion.
I'm sorry, but all I can think of is Rey with a giant piece of toast in her mouth running down the street.
That happens, that?
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm thinking about it.
So yeah, but Shinji, it does happen in original series, and then they just expanded upon that idea to make Shinji Ikari Raising Project, which by no means is a bad thing. It's a very good read, and I would highly suggest anyone read it. Now, the thing that ties this all together is where how all these events are going to converge, and Angelic Days and Shinji Ikari Raising Project don't converge. I know Angelic Days doesn't. Shinji Ikari Raising Project is ongoing, but I don't see it converging because it's just too different, unless they just all of a sudden Shinji wakes up and it's End of Eva. Now, the weird one that actually might end up converging and coming back to original timeline is Rebuild of Evangelion, the movie series, and End of Evangelion. And the reason for that is because of events that happened during End of Evangelion. Because of instrumentality, Shinji accepts it and starts changing the world. Well, if Shinji changes the world, then he might have made the universe that is Rebuilt of Evangelion. And if he had made that universe, it would explain a lot of little cryptic things you see in Rebuild of Evangelion, and a lot of cryptic things that are said, especially Kaworu, who kind of mentions when he's sitting on the moon, and Gendo and Fuyutsuki kind of fly by in the spaceship, and he's all like, "Hello, father."
Like that entire sequence you just said, that makes total sense. It is in no way strange at all.
No, right. Well, then there's also the whole idea of that Red Sea that's in Rebuild, because that would imply that it happened after Third Impact. Mm-hmm. The one that was in Rebuild. Yep. In End of Eva. I'm sorry, I misspoke. But because we haven't seen 4.0 yet, we don't know if it's going to tie back together to anything. I'm waiting for it to happen because I'm almost convinced that the end of Rebuild is essentially going to be Shinji from End of Eva staring into the face of Shinji from Rebuild, which would just screw the pooch, and I'd be done. But we'll get to that later. Now, Rob, you had your theory on how the timeline splits.
Wow, really? You're gonna give me the image of Shinji staring at Shinji? Really?
I'm sure there's a fan shipper out there who's done this already.
I hate you. I hate you for this idea. Anyways.
So yeah, Rob's timeline split looks like this.
Because I don't buy into the idea that everything goes off the original series. I've always been under the impression that yes, there are different timelines to Ava, but there's the fixed line where we have common events shared between all of them, and then when things change, things branch off. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter where it is, but you're just going to have the different branches starting at the different points, and they're going to have their own separate, timeline. So Rebuild's one, Original Series is one, Raising Project is one, Angelic Days is one, Campus Apocalypse, they're all their own separate, different things. And, comic books are famous for the whole, we're going to just jump between dimensions kinds of things with these. So when it comes to 25 and 26 and the glimpse into the alternate universe, that's just, Shinji being able to look at a different one. Because in essence, if we think about instrumentality in 25 and 26 the same way as we think about it in End of Eva, well, he's still God. He can do whatever he wants. So he's manifesting himself using other people, because he uses Misato to glimpse into there to show him, hey, this is what's happening. And yeah, there you go.
Okay. All right. Well, let's. You want to move on to the next thing here, or do you want to?
Might as well. I pretty much just explained my whole thing in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, really, Jesus.
Well, I like to keep things condensed and quick. You know me.
Yeah. Well, that just means we got more time to talk to you guys.
Yay! You people!
This is the fun part.
So what we'll do is.
So you guys, if we got questions, just raise your hand.
What we will then repeat the question for everybody listening. And then we will attempt to answer it without looking like idiots.
Now, just really quick, guys, I know there's, long, drawn-out questions where you need to, have different things. Just try to keep them clear, concise, and try to keep them short because, I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to talk about
we want to make sure everybody who wants to ask something can ask something.
And it doesn't have to be about the stuff we just talked about. It could be about anything Ava-related. It could be about our podcast. It could be about the website. It could be about anything. So, by all means. And I know my friend Shiloh has something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I believe in the linears with branches. He believes in a linear that has a big split. The exploding split.
Yeah.
Did you need any clarification on that, or do you have your own theory on that?
My theory is that they have nothing to do with each other.
You feel they have nothing to do with each other?
I feel like it's just artists expressing, well, I'm not happy with the last time I made this one, so I'm going to try and redo it.
Okay, so you feel that Anno just didn't like the way it was done before and just wants to redo it.
That's always been sneaking suspicion number 2.
Yeah.
He just honestly just did it. Yeah, he just wanted to do it again. Why not?
And then just left some hints and throwbacks to original series.
Who read the last one who got this show? That's what
I see what you're saying.
He's screwing with us.
All right, well, I wouldn't put it past Anno. He's like that. He doesn't really like that we like his series. So, I could see him doing something like that, and I wouldn't be surprised. But, until I've seen, Rebuild 4.0, I'm not going to, say, okay, this is a whole different thing. Because for all we know, it's one giant thing to tie it together because we've had some weird theories about some of the characters. And I would encourage you to listen to the podcast to hear our discussions about, where Mari came from, because that was an interesting one. Yeah. I just piqued your interest there.
Anno's hiding in a basement cackling at us.
He's hiding in Aaron Yeager's basement. Shinji, you've had your hand up for a little bit.
So if you believe that Rebuild is kind of like Shinji, after the end of Evangelion,
yes,
rebuilding the world, and you think that that's why there's the differences in Rebuild and why
yes, I feel that because of the differences in Rebuild, but there are certain things that do link it to original series.
So do you think that that's why maybe Kawaru got a bigger part in Rebuild, and why maybe Shinji and Kawaru connected more in Rebuild than they did in the original series?
Well, this goes, for the link between Kawaru and Shinji and why I feel Kawaru got a bigger part, and this has actually been sort of a thing we discussed before. is the possibility that Kaworu that we see in Rebuild of Evangelion is not the Kaworu that we see in original series, but rather maybe a reincarnation of Shinji from original series. And
Shinji that he would want to.
you know, like let's say original series Shinji remakes the universe, right? Instead of being Shinji, because maybe he doesn't want to be Shinji, he wants to be the one person who was good to him, and that was Kaworu. And that would explain a lot of the weird things that Kaworu says throughout the course of Rebuild of Evangelion. So that was something we had discussed in the podcast. Actually, is where what is Kaworu's role? Where in what he represents, or is he really Shinji, or is he really Kaworu, or what is he? Because we haven't had a whole thing with that. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. Next question. Yes, right here in the Wolverine shirt.
Going back to what you said about Mari, where do you think she came from?
Me personally, where did Mari come from? I personally feel, and this is based on speculative stuff. We don't have a whole concise thing. I think Mari came because we know of the curse of Evangelion, is what they call it, where everybody remains eternally their age once they started piloting. Mari, I believe, came from the original research team that was headed by Yui Ikari. And actually, I believe it's in Rebuild, is in 2 or 3? It's 3. You see a picture of Yui Ikari's original research team, and on the very side of the picture is a girl who looks strikingly like Mari. If the Curse of the Evangelion is true and Mari is an original pilot, she might, that's where I think she came from. The question of now regards to, and to expand on it a little further is Mari really Mari, or is she somebody else? I've always thought she might, because of the way she screws around with Asuka a little bit, that she might be Asuka's mother eternally at 18. Some people have also speculated, and this was a weird one I didn't pick up on until much later, that when Asuka's mother died and she went to go live with her father and his other family, that Mari is the other girl, the other daughter of her father, and remember, because Asuka's mother said, or Asuka's grandmother said at Asuka's mother's grave that you need to be better than this girl. And Asuka's, is like, I'll do my, I'll be better. And that might be who Mari is, and that might explain why Asuka hates Mari so much. So that was a weird little fan theory that we had come up with while we were talking on the podcast last week or 2 weeks ago. And it's it's something interesting, and we'd love to hear more theories on what possibility is. Somebody actually came up with the possibility she might be a clone. She might be an original Rey project, but not Rey. She might, instead of being Rey's Yui Ikari, Mari might be Asuka's mother, who was also on Yui's research team. Right here in the front.
How would Mari be able to pilot both Provisional Unit 5 and Unit 2 if she's the mother, and because isn't Asuka's mother soul inside Unit 2?
Well, again, now let's say Mari is, let's go to the clone theory here. Rey is a clone of Yui Ikari, pilots prototype Unit 0, which has no soul. Now, whether or not, but it's never shown if she can pilot Unit 1.
Yeah.
So the theory exists that if Mari has some kind of link to Unit 2 in some way, she might be able to pilot it. Now the other thing, because of Rebuild, and I don't believe it ever happens, is we never see Asuka's mother die.
True.
So we don't know for a fact that Asuka's mother's soul is in Unit 2.
Hey, I hate to break this, but do we even know if there's souls inside of them in Rebuild? No, I don't think we get that little detail. I don't think Anno actually put that back in there when he did Rebuild. So that whole thing may not actually...
That could be an important piece of missing information.
Also, Mari just goes into Unit 2 and uses a code. She cheat codes, and she gets it to work. So...
Well, no, she gets it to work before that.
Well, she pilots and then she activates beast mode, which is a code.
Oh yeah, so that might be the evidence that hey, maybe the whole soul thing doesn't happen anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Now, let's say that Mari was somehow involved with the original research team. That would be the only way she would know a code like that.
Or she's working with Kaji and they're getting into the system files.
That too.
In ways that Ritsuko and Maya can't detect.
But it removes the limiter, so I mean they probably don't want anyone to know about it because it would be a dangerous.
Yeah, it's probably top secret classified information, but the problem is that, and this is going back to the original series, we found that there are ways to get around the various locks and doors that Nerve has because we know for a fact that Seele does it. We know for a fact that Hyuga does it, and it could be employed. Probably, I'm guessing Kaji probably did it as well in the original series, but it was never physically shown. So it's probably not too far of a stretch to think that maybe Kaji and Mari in some way are getting around the various locks and doors that Ritsuko has with the Magi.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we don't have enough solid information on Mari to really say anything about where she, what she is. There was a small rumor going around for a little while that Rebuild 3.0 was supposed to be about her, but because of production schedules, that got all messed up because of the tsunamis and whatever, that just never came to fruition. So there's a little bit of speculation on what if 4.0 is going to just kind of give us the Mari backstory, or if we're forever going to just be speculating on something like this.
You're speculating. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
We'll see. Next question.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Somebody who hasn't been called on. In the back in the white.
What's your opinion on the dub?
My opinion on the dub. Like, do I like it? Do I not like it? Which dub are we referring to? Like overall, or like for the series, for the rebuild films? Series dub. Jeez, now I have to go director's cut.
Well, no, no because
I don't hate it. When I first watched Evangelion, I watched it dubbed. So that was my first experience into it. So I was never like contaminated into the Japanese where I was like I had to start comparing voices. I actually watched the Japanese dub much later and still enjoyed it and was able to understand more concepts because I had subtitles and was able to really okay, I see now what they were trying to say because I can read it, but I don't hate the dub. I know some people don't really appreciate it. I believe everyone has done fine work on it. But the original series dub versus like the rebuild dub, because I know there was a lot of recasting and a lot of people aren't happy about that, especially in key parts. I know somebody I won't say because I can get them in a lot of trouble. Wasn't very happy about the casting for Rei and for I believe for Kaworu and for some other people. I'm not allowed to say.
No, I'm just saying, what are you going to do? ADV is dead.
Well, here's the thing: when like the original voice of Rei wants to do Rei, you do freaking Rei.
Okay, I know, we know, but out of our hands, out of their hands. Okay, let's face it. Ava went in English from ADV to Manga Entertainment. Now it's Funimation's property. Their people make these kinds of decisions for a reason. The fact that we got, Tiffany and Spike back is honestly good enough for me with English. And you know what? I've watched both in Japanese and English. It's just honestly personal preference for you, what you want to do. Because I like both, because both of them have their good things. And the one thing that the Japanese dub, or the Japanese, it does not suffer from that the English does, is that in English, for a third of the series, people are trying to get into their roles. And in Japanese, they don't have that problem. It's much smoother with that, which is a plus. It does not work like that in English. You have to get to about Magma Diver before everybody's truly comfortable, because that's when everybody's finally there.
Right, but I mean, if you want to compare original series dub to like the rebuild dub in terms of being into a character, everybody who worked on the rebuild dub had pretty much already done the original series, so they were already well acquainted with their characters. They knew the inflections they needed. I said mostly. No.
I just thought of something actually that relates to dubbing of Ava. Actually,
what?
So, first of all, anybody want to try to guess when 3.33 is coming out in North America? Anybody
on DVD?
Very good. We
Yeah.
have a target date of February.
Yeah. So who has actually seen the dub of Rebuild 3.0?
Wow.
The dub exists.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know about this, so there was a limited theatrical release of the dub of 3.0. I've seen it. Rob, did you see it?
No, I live here. Hello, Civilization, Iowa. Pick one.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago, so I have access to wonderful things like this.
Yeah.
So, the rebuild dub for 3.0 exists. The problem is Studio Kara doesn't like it. And because they don't like it, they're kind of fighting the release. Right now, we're not sure. We don't have a concrete date. Somebody had posted a possible date was February of 2015.
Around Valentine's Day.
So we're not sure if and when it's going to actually happen.
Oh, no, I saw something else that's even more, recent than that.
Oh, yeah? What do you got?
That's why I love doing these things. So apparently Spike's going back to Texas to work on it again in the very near future. I know!
Oh, my God.
I know. I'm sorry. He's probably not the only one who's going back to work on it.
The redub of the rebuild.
Well, you know what?
Evangelion redeath.
This
I'm
show.
glad for the people who just got that joke.
Ava, you make me sad.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Who else? Anybody else who's new? Who's got a question?
Vox.
Anybody?
Dr. Vox, one of
Oh,
our forum members.
Hi, Doc.
On the timeline thing,
Yes.
one thing that doesn't, that kind of makes sense is the existence of the Dead Sea Scrolls and Karu knowing things.
Yeah.
What I'm starting to think on the timeline is it's repeating, every time that third impact or, final impact happens,
Yes.
things go back through the start.
All right, so just what I got for this podcast. So you believe that with the rebuild timeline, or just any timeline, that it gets to a certain point and just resets?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, the Red Sea is Adam trying to kill humanity off now.
Okay, so the Red Sea, and then everything that Quarry knows about the Dead Sea Scrolls is all leading to just a big reset.
Yeah.
Okay.
The additional Avas are Sele sending the Dead Sea Scrolls back to basically give themselves an advantage. It's a constant arms race between humanity and the angels.
Okay, so what you're trying to say is Sele is trying to, thwart everything that Adam is trying to accomplish, and basically making this huge arms race, which leads to the production of the Avas, which leads to just everything that we've seen throughout the series. Okay, that's actually a weird theory we had discussed at a previous panel. Was the idea that everything that happens in the original series happens, and then End of Ava happens, and then Shinji just resets the world, and we start over again. It was the Futurama theory.
But the world didn't restart with Rebuild.
No, we're not saying it restarts with Rebuild. It's just
no, I'm saying Third Impact happened in Rebuild and it didn't restart.
No, but after Shinji does choose, basically what we see in End of Ava at the very tail end is Shinji waiting to decide what to do, and it's just like this weird limbo.
Also, we have near third impact in Ava.
No, apparently it happened.
Yeah,
that's not a near. That happened. Shinji caused instrumentality, and Shinji caused Third Impact.
In End of Ava, he causes it.
Shinji.
In Rebuild, though, that was a little bit of a gray area. We went back and kind of looked into it a little bit.
I've been digging into that. It's not. It doesn't seem like it's a near Third Impact. It seems like, no, Shinji, you just caused Third Impact. Thanks for nothing again.
Kaworu essentially shows Shinji the world that he made, which was the result of the Third Impact. Now, whether or not that world that Shinji created exists on the same plane of existence as the one he's in is a whole other story.
Yeah, who knows about that?
That's, because I've always, one of the weird things I had come up with about End of Ava was that when Shinji remakes the world and he's sitting on the beach choking Asuka to death, he actually hasn't remade the world. What he's actually done is chosen not to do anything, and because of that, he's living in his own personal hell, a literal personal hell. So that's a weird little tidbit for you. Anybody else? Yes.
So with the whole timeline things with both your theories, I think that they're actually may come together. I do think that both of them are right, but at the end, when you think he's going to beat himself, it's just going to be him from another universe or timeline that he somehow winds up there with the world.
So you feel that we're both right on the timeline theory, and that it's all just going to come together, and we're just going to have this gathering of the Shinjis. It's going to be like Rick and Morty. I'm glad somebody has watched that show.
Oh, great. So we're going to have Campus Apocalypse Shinji there with his gun.
Good God.
Just to
we
make
don't speak of that.
you mad.
You know, if I find out that, like, Campus Apocalypse and Detective Diaries and all those, and just all the terrible, terrible fan art and God knows what else all comes together to actually be canon, I am going to throw my hat down and walk away. Right here in the front, because you haven't ducked. So you feel the reason that, like, Rebuild and all that exists is just because Anno wants to give the fans what they want. I'd almost agree if I didn't know that Anno's a dick.
But the thing is, Anno might be doing that because he's in a happy place now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Rebuild reflects an Anno that's on meds, that's happy, that's in the right place in the world. When he made the original series, he was going through a severe state of depression.
And then when he made End of Ava, he was in an extreme angry position.
Yeah, so it's a real question of, you know, what state of mind was he in when he made this. Now, whether or not that is because if he was thinking of the fans while doing that is completely speculative, and unless he says it himself, which he never will, you know, we can only speculate that he just did it because, you know, money.
Or maybe we're just lucky and what we've wanted is what we're getting.
Right. Well, and what bothers me about this is, and it's not really related to Anno himself, but, like, the way that Evangelion as a franchise has just been, you know, the horse has just been beaten to death for merch, for, you know, just terrible
merchandise,
terrible side manga. Like, to give you an idea what we're talking about, like
advertising.
So one of the weirdest pieces of Evangelion merchandise I have probably ever seen is a bucket.
Yep.
A bucket.
Yeah. It's just a.
There's a series of Evangelion buckets.
Yeah, they're color coded for different characters. There's a Asuka, there's a Rei, there's a Shinji, there's a Misato, there's a Mari, there's a Karu.
There's also some stuff we can't talk about because this is not an 18-plus panel.
Let's see, there's credit cards, hotels, trains.
An apartment building, the horse racing thing.
The giant inflatable race slide.
Oh, the GNR race slide.
Let's see, don't forget all the food, Doritos, cakes, jellies, coffee.
Oh, yeah, they're...
Yep.
That nine patty burger of
the Q burger. Yeah, seriously, Q is nine in it's giant in Japanese. So someone decided to come up with a 9 patty burger that's
with a lanceologinus.
Yeah, with a lanceologinus on the inside. Oh, don't forget the master swordsman in Japan that crafted the
actual lanceologinus,
like a 6 foot long lanceologinus.
Yeah, there was actually something going around. It was a weapons display exhibit, and it was in an actual literal museum.
Yeah.
It was a traveling exhibit.
Europe.
A master blacksmith actually made some Evangelion-inspired weaponry, including a Lance of Longinus. Mm-hmm. He made a Eva Unit 1 colored sword, blade and all. It was fantastic looking. There's a couple other weird little pieces. I believe Rey might have a dagger or something, or it might be Asuka. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen the exhibit.
And you know, if I ought to post, I ought to post this on. I ought to post this on the website because I don't think.
Yes,
I ever have.
Iowa has this wonderful flag that he bought. This is
okay. So I have no idea.
Here, I'll hold the stick.
Yeah, would you please? So for the record, I honestly have no idea how in the hell I found this thing. I always wanted something, just really, unique to the franchise. And I just took me 3 days of just digging around the internet. And I found this thing for like $25. Got it shipped to me from Greece, of all places.
Yes, for
a couple years ago.
For the people on the podcast who aren't going to see this, Iowa owns a Nerve flag. It is a fan product. I don't believe this is.
Yeah, this thing. There's no way this thing is officially.
If this thing was officially licensed, this thing would be probably $70.
For the record, Greg has seen this. Greg has signed this. Greg has no problems with this.
Oh yeah, I was going to say this thing is signed not just by Evangelion.
Oh, for God's sakes, this thing is just littered.
I've signed this thing.
This thing is littered with signatures from voice actors, webcomic artists. Samurai Dan's on here.
Professional wrestlers.
Yeah, there's pro wrestlers. Those were the first ones I got on here 2 years ago. If anybody ever watches Glass Reflections on YouTube, I got Arcada at ASEN this year. The Shining. Oh, where the hell is?
I was
She?
going to say Tiffany Grant.
Oh yeah, Tiffany Grant's on here. I got her last September.
Oh, this is the best thing too. Is like she called him stupid.
Yeah, she called me stupid in perfect Asuka voice. It was amazing.
Yeah, on cue too, because Rob decided to
Steal your DVD case.
Yeah, he grabbed the DVD case and she didn't sign it, and he was walking away with it, and she just She gets up and just yells at him. What are you, stupid? And he just.
Yes.
I fall down laughing. He's just dying over there.
I said, yes, I am, and then I started laughing because I had to reply, yes, I was.
That was hysterical. So, yeah, that was our funny thing. But, yeah, there's a weird, Universe of Evangelion merchandise. But back to the original point that was brought up.
There was a point?
Because of this whole merchandise pumping and, just everything that's happening, I can't say that Anno is making anything for fans. I think someone just said, hey, we'll just give you a bunch of money if you remake this and find a way to, pump the fans for more money.
We'll back a dump truck full of money up to your house if you redo this.
Yes.
And he probably gets them delivered, weekly at this point.
Yeah.
Because, for example, at Anime Midwest, because I like to go around to different conventions in the Midwest at the moment and do these panels, the dealer's room had a foot or so tall Ava Unit 1 that was completely posable. That sucker was $340. When it comes to merchandise like that, it's no wonder Anno keeps doing this, even though he may not want to, because there is a market. You can go into the dealer's room now. You can see tons of Ava merchandise, and if I had told you 10 years ago you were going to be able to do this, you'd have called me crazy, because the fandom, the merchandise, all this with Ava 10 years ago did not exist.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally walk into the dealer's room right now and buy the entire set of the Shinji Ikari Raising Project manga. It is sitting right there for purchase.
Hey, we should tell that story too.
Which one?
The one about you rage quitting at ASEN?
Nah, we'll save that for the blooper reel.
Oh, this is a blooper reel.
No, because that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. And Pete, these wonderful people have wonderful questions. I know you've been dying for it. Come on, what do you got?
Okay, I forget who it was different convention. I heard the theory that after Second Impact, the world actually was just fractured.
So you're saying, just so I can get for the podcast, so what you're saying is that after Second Impact, instead of there being one continuous timeline, Second Impact fractured the space-time continuum, essentially, and made different universes.
That is actually just the universe dying out, and every timeline is just added to them with entropy and eventually it'll just be all gone.
Okay, so you're saying, so just so I'm clear on this, you're saying that the different branches are just going to fizzle out and everything's just going to not exist.
Because Shinji screwed up and the universe broke.
But
That's not his fault.
But that's the thing. It's Second Impact. Shinji didn't even exist.
No, wait.
Shinji wasn't even born yet at Second Impact.
No, you're right. Shinji was... Well, technically Shinji did exist, but he was in Yui. Yeah. But no, it's...
Or possibly in Gendo, if you really want to get technical
No!
about it.
No, this one falls upon...
No, I think I said that wrong. It was Third Impact.
Third Impact? Okay.
Well, that was Rob's theory, was the whole split.
Well, no, I...
Split, the universe is screwed, and that's why everything's getting weirder and weirder as you go on, because the normal timelines are dying off.
Also, for the record, you don't have to go to Third Impact before mine goes anywhere. It's just
what he's saying is after Third Impact, the universe breaks up into different things.
Yeah.
And the normal timeline where where everything should happen is starting to not exist.
Yeah, that would make sense. Shinji does... Yeah, because Shinji becomes God, and, that probably would not have a good adverse effect on the universe if someone were to be God like that. Because especially any of us, if we became that part of if we ever got into that position, I think we'd be screwing with things, too, on a, massive scale.
All right. More questions, guys. We got a lot of time for questions. Somebody who hasn't talked yet, guys.
Anybody who hasn't
Come on. Yes, right here.
Sorry, I'm just going to say this right now. I haven't watched the rebuild.
That's okay.
Because I'm just not going to bother with them. I just don't feel like I want to watch them. But the girl named Mari or something.
Yes, Mari.
I'd like to know what purpose do you think her character serves to the story?
So what purpose do we feel that Mari serves in Rebuild?
Do you want me to go first, or do you want me to go second? Because I have the short answer.
You go with the short answer.
I don't think she has a purpose in the slightest. I think she's just there for giggles.
So yes, Iowa believes in fan service.
Yeah, I do. Especially with Ava. Yeah, I do.
Here's the weird thing, and this actually goes to something that just happened. I'm going to go a little bit off the rebuild thing. In the Sadamoto manga, we've already found out through like a leak that Sadamoto is going to release a new character for the final volume of the manga. We've already seen artist renditions of her. Now, it doesn't directly look like Mari, but it has a very striking resemblance to Mari. We're not sure if it is. So that might link the Sadamoto manga to rebuild films, which now we're getting in a whole back to the timeline theory. But what purpose does Mari serve in the original series is a bit of a question because we don't know enough about her to say that she is this. I think she's the thing that's going to ultimately link this all together, personally. I feel that, Mari will, her purpose hasn't been revealed, but it will when the time is right. What is she going to link Shinji and Asuka together? Is she the one that's going to bring all the universes together? I can't say with any certainty, and I don't want to over speculate on these things a little bit until I've given much more deeper thought, and I'm not hungover from a rave.
That's why I have the no answer.
Yeah.
Because it's not only easier, but I have a bit more or lack of evidence to suggest that, yeah.
I mean, do you have a theory about what she might have, what purpose she might have, or are you just kind of asking us because we might know?
I just kind of feel like she's been.
You just think she's fan service?
Yeah. See, she's just there to be there. Because how much screen time does she actually have in 3.33? You want to start counting?
Yeah, she doesn't get a lot of screen time.
Yeah, she gets about 3 minutes.
Which annoys me, and that sucks.
Well, then that should be...
I'm going to just go out. I'm going to say this right now, and I catch so much flack from this from hardcore Evangelion fans. I love Mari. I've never liked Asuka as a character. I know, right? Sue me, right? Asuka was just too much of a bitch for me. I didn't like Rei because she was just this stoic, annoying thing that never really did much. I mean, and if you want to go to original series, probably the only female I had ever had a thing for was Maya Ibuki, but that's a problem.
Yeah, let's count her screen time in 3.33. Want to go? 30 seconds.
She gets 30 seconds to say how much she hates men.
She gets 30 seconds on a battleship to say, I hate men, and then she's gone for the rest of the movie.
Which, by the way, that line gets changed in the English dub, too.
What, she hates everybody?
She just hates newbies, I think, was what she ends up.
Actually, no, that's the subtitle I got is actually she hates newbies, too.
Yeah.
Young men. There we go.
Whatever it was, she hates guys, and it's kind of funny because there's, the whole speculation of whether or not Maya Ibuki's a lesbian because of that whole thing with Ritsuko.
Or she's just...
Because Orange Tang.
No, she's just what's-her-face from Azumanga.
Huh?
She's Kaorin.
Oh,
she's
Jesus.
No, she's just Kaorin. She just loves
Idol
Ritsuko.
worship, yeah.
She just loves Ritsuko, not women, just...
Well, what that... I don't... Yeah, let's...
Yeah, I just got Azumanga...
I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk about.
I just got Azumanga into an Ava podcast. I win.
Yeah, by the way, how's the Yukari Mobile doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah, this idiot running late on Thursday night when we got here. I'm like, dude, just hurry up and get here. He's like, all he texts me back is Yukari Mobile, go.
Whee!
If you saw his jalopy of a car.
My Jeep was dinged and dented and about as
even
much
Misato
as
would be like, damn, that guy's fucked up.
Hey, I had no duct tape, okay? I had no duct tape. I'm better than Misato.
Tell people I swore.
Oh my God, did you really? How dare you?
All right.
This is a family-friendly
More questions.
panel.
I got a lot of question time, guys.
Yeah, we actually do.
You guys got any weird crap you guys want to talk about?
Oh my God, you did it again.
Gendo! Finally, Gendo's got a question. Oh, glasses are on.
Glasses
Shit's about to
are
get
on.
real.
What's your favorite piece of Ava merchandise that's out there besides the flag?
I'm going to disqualify myself from saying my flag because that's biased.
So hold on, just for the podcast. So what's our favorite piece of merchandise?
What is our personal favorite?
Yeah,
once we get done with this,
Really weird and out there.
my favorite. I think there's only one answer to this. No, something much more diabolical and evil.
what do you mean the shaved Gendo?
Oh yeah, baby.
I don't know. That's creepy, but that's not my favorite.
I don't know. In terms of just in terms of promotion, that might be my favorite thing in the world. Is if you guys haven't seen them, Right around, I think it was was it 1.0 and 2.0 got released that they did those?
Somewhere between 1 and 2.
Yeah, somewhere between 1 and 2 of the rebuild films. Schick Razors actually started a ad campaign with Gendo, and he's clean shaven and smiling.
Oh my God,
it is nightmare
that
fuel.
That smile is absolutely.
It is. It's like he looks like the most happy person in the world. Like somewhere below the screen, Yui Kari is giving him the dream.
You are a terrible, terrible man.
I know. It's seriously the most disturbing and unnerving thing, and I urge you to go find it.
Well, going off that.
But in terms of stuff that I own?
Well, not only that, but the thing is that we also have other people who do panels. Not this one. They do different ones.
Talk to the mic, man. People, podcast needs to
So, one of our cohorts, Unit 2, likes to do a panel called What Did Gendo Say? And Other Things You Might Have Missed. And the very first picture you get is a blown-up Gendo shaved with the smiley face. Yes, especially at 1 a.m. in the morning, that is something jarring. If you need to wake up, just look at that.
Oh, shit! Buchan!
Hi, Buchan. God, you did it again!
Hey, for all the people on our wonderful panel and on the podcast, we are being joined by the Anime Iowa mascot, Buchan!
Hi! Yeah. Okay, so wait, I got to think of something Ava merchandise I love.
Other than your flag.
Yeah, that gets disqualified.
Something that you own, something that you want to own.
Oh, I know what it is.
What?
It's the Quaru Died for Your Sins 10th anniversary bumper sticker I bought from Tiffany Grant last September. There we go.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, that is great. My favorite piece of merch, other than the buckets.
Yeah, buckets are disqualified.
Buckets are disqualified.
Well,
let's see. I'm a fatty, so I have to be the cake.
Which one?
Does it matter?
Yes.
The one that had dark chocolate and raspberry filling.
Very good. Didn't that was the AT field one, wasn't it?
Yes, that was the AT field.
Yeah, that was the one shaped in the form of an AT field, and then there's a lemon one that is formed like it's a half moon, and you have Quaru with a Lanceologidus as a fork.
In terms of things I'd love to own, though, and I wish I had like a house and money to do these things, I want that 3-foot-tall inflatable giant ray slide. That thing looked fantastic.
Yeah, that was just in the middle of a shopping mall in Japan.
Yeah, for those who don't know what we're talking about, some shopping mall in Japan, I forget which one it was, decided it'd be a wonderful idea. Instead of having an escalator for like a down escalator, decided to put the giant ray slide, this big 3-story tall inflatable ray slide. I saw this thing and I'm like, my God, why don't I live in Japan?
Why can't I get Asuka?
And there's my weeaboo thing for the day. But anyway, so let's see. What do you got? What about you guys? Do you have a favorite piece of merch? Gendo, what do you got?
That razor, because this thing is driving me insane.
Gendo wants the razor.
He's smiling, this is just mad.
Maybe that's why Gendo's just such a dick. Is that razors just don't exist in the future?
Well, then wait. How's Fuyutsuki always clean shaven? You'd think he might still have something.
I don't know. Maybe he's got like a field knife or a piece of glass.
Well, honestly, hold on a second. Kaji always seems to have too much stubble on his face, and Misato keeps complaining about it. So razors don't exist, and
this would also explain why Shinji just hasn't slit his wrists.
There's no blades left. You're a terrible person. Really? Oh my God!
I host an Ava panel, and you're wondering
Saturday
if I'm
at 11:50, and you're making these kinds of jokes. At least mine are funny.
This is true. Hey, originally this panel was supposed to be done at 6 o'clock, so don't blame me.
Well, yeah, 6 o'clock at night.
All right. Yes.
You really think Shinji would have the guts to slit his wrists?
No, I don't.
Would
actually.
Shinji have the guts to slit his own wrists?
And we know that Asuka has the guts because she attempts it after she gets after the interaction with the angel.
Oh, yeah.
She does try to do it in the bathtub. She either tries to slit her wrists or she's trying to starve herself to death.
Yeah.
We know Asuka will go through with it because she has nothing left. Shinji, no, I don't believe he actually has the ability to do it.
Shinji will wuss out halfway through.
It's not even wussing out.
Or even worse, he'll do it wrong.
No, it's not.
There is a right and a wrong way to do
Yes,
this,
there
and I'm
is.
not going to tell you people because I'm not going to
even
facilitate people. I need more followers on the podcast, not
I
less.
don't think Shinji would actually attempt it. I think Shinji, as much as he hates his life at times and people around him and all that stuff, I don't think he actually has the necessary willpower to just end his life or attempt to end his life. I don't think he possesses that.
And honestly, that brings up an interesting point is, throughout the course of the original series, why wouldn't Shinji attempt it with all this stuff around him, why everything's going so bad?
Because
he never chooses to end his life, he just chooses to run away.
Maybe he recognizes the fact that maybe he just wants to be alone. Like, think about it this way. Shinji is really alone when he's living with his teacher, right?
Right.
So he is taken from a spot of isolation, and he is thrust into a position where there is constant attention, there is constant information, there is constant everything.
Right.
Maybe he runs away because he prefers isolation to try to work out his problems.
Okay. So really quick, I just want to ask you guys, is there any little thing about Ava personally that has made you a fan? Is there something that really spoke to you in terms of this series? Right up front.
You already made a comment that you don't like her, but Asuka is what made me a fan.
Asuka made you a fan.
Characters like Asuka, she is so tortured and so deep, and she opens people's eyes to moral ambiguity of the bitchy type characters.
Okay, so you feel that you like Asuka because of the moral ambiguity and because of the personality that she exhibits. Okay.
She defies what people perceive.
I like that answer.
That's a good answer.
Yes, it is.
You had your hand up second?
It's the only big mecha show that they have power towards him.
It's the only mecha show that they have
he's right.
power towards.
Everything else is
so so you like logic, is what you're telling me. Do you realize what series you're watching?
I know, but it's logical because the only way to run something that big would be for an external power pack.
He's got a point.
So he likes it because of the external power.
He's got a point, though. Name another mecha anime where it's not a battery.
Or some magic.
Or Deus Ex Machina it.
Ooh.
You can't.
Give me enough time, I could probably...
Do it later. Okay, you, and then we'll get to you, Shinji.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, a question. We got a question.
The first one is about the titles for the reveal, 1.11.
Right.
What's up with that?
Oh,
that's actually an easy one.
That's easy.
I'll take that one.
Go nuts.
Okay, so what happened was, and why this action, when it was released in Japan, it was Evangelion 1.0. What happened was during the course of transferring movie to DVD, there was updates in quality, and they just basically had to make new versions of it. So instead of just calling it Ava 1.0 and keep re-releasing it, because they had released 1.0 in poor quality, they went back and redid it, and then they basically wanted to make the best quality thing. And so there's actually an Ava 1.0,
yes.
an Ava 1.1,
yes.
and an Ava 1.11.
Yeah.
1.11 is the best quality. So when they started doing the next one, when they started doing 2.2, and they just said, okay, we're just going to stick with the numbering system, so we're not going to confuse people. And that's all it is.
It's most apparent in the first fight with Sachio.
Yeah.
And, because it's pitch black. Like, I know it's supposed to be nighttime, but they're in a city with lights. It is way too dark to see things in 1.0, and when people saw that, they kind of revolted and said, no, we're not happy with this. So they had to go back and update the quality of it and make things seeable. So yeah, that's why.
All right, we got time for one more comment really quick, and then we're going to wrap up. Shinji, you had the last one.
Yeah, I think what really made me like Evangelion is that, I went into it expecting it just being a generic mecha anime, like Gundam or something, and it was so more impressive than that, and the characters were so more deep, and they were just much more deeper, and, it took itself seriously, but they also had, moments of humor, and, the characters, it's just, and the story took so many turns.
All right, so I want to make sure I get the podcast people. I'm sorry. So basically, what you're saying is you liked it because it was a unique entity among mecha anime.
Yeah.
You liked it for the depth of the characters and how they weren't just talking mannequins, and just because the story was so deep, and because everything was just so wonderful. For lack of a better word.
Have you ever watched the original Gundam? Have you ever actually gone back and watched the original Gundam?
I have not for a long time. I haven't. But then again, I like Wing, and you give me crap for that.
Yeah, I give you crap for that because Wing sucks. Anyways,
that's debatable, and I hate you. Oh, someone's clapping because of the Wing hate? Are you kidding me?
Thank God. There's more of me. If you actually go back and watch the original Gundam, there are good things to the original Gundam. But man, it falls into stereotypes and archetypes so quickly. It is not even funny with Gundam.
Which brings me back to something I did at another panel where I complained about the cut and paste protagonists and pissed somebody off.
How about when I complained about Gurren Lagann and nearly started a riot 3 years ago?
I almost started a riot complaining about Amuro.
I don't like Gurren Lagann. I have watched it 5 times.
Me?
No,
Oh,
me.
oh, him.
No, me. No, that is not a good show. I don't like that show.
All right. Enough with Gurren Lagann hate.
So this is not for the hi podcast people, but for those of you who are in attendance, and we love you, if you look up here on this nice table we have here, we have business cards. So in case you can't remember what our name is, because God forbid it is long as hell, we have business cards. There's my personal email down there for you to contact me about any issues, concerns, or if you hate this guy. So yeah, there you go. There's business cards, and shall we go to the last slide?
Yes, so really quick, guys, thanks for coming. So make sure you visit rebuildofevangelion.org. And also make sure you guys subscribe to the Dummy Plug podcast. We're on iTunes. It's also available on rebuildofevangelion.org in case you don't have iTunes or you choose not to have iTunes.
And for special surprise number 2, for those of you who are in attendance again, I have something else I'd like to show all of you if you're willing to come up here. It's a newspaper from about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yes, we got to give shout-outs.
Yes, so to our lovely and my dear friends who I celebrated their win with a UCC coffee, because, you know me.
Yeah.
They entered the masquerade at Anime Midwest with a 10-foot-tall Unit 2. They were in as beginners. They got bumped up to master class, and they won the whole friggin' thing.
They won Best in Show.
Yep, I've got a picture of it, and if you go to the Daily Herald, you can find the video interview with them.
Yes. It is a thing to behold, and so Asuka and Unit 2 guys, we love you, and we wish you were here with us, but Asuka's in Ireland, and I don't know where you...
Unit 2 is probably still recovering from the resin fight he had.
Oh, yeah. There's a funny story on our podcast about Unit 2 in the course of making that costume, how he got high on the resin.
Oh, God. He basically 72 hours in a garage with no ventilation and resin. He was still sucking down cough drops 3 weeks ago, the poor guy.
Yeah, he shows up to Anime Central and can't remember his own name.
Oh, poor man. Oh, I feel so bad for him. And for those of you who are here with us, you want to come up and talk to us after we're done with this? Please do. I love talking to you people.
So, really quick, guys, for the Dummy Plug podcast, I am Gaynor79.
And I am whoever the hell I am.
You're
just
General
kidding.
Iowa.
I'm General Iowa. I'm in charge of this!
So, thank you, guys, and we'll see you on the podcast.
Love you.